in Saturday's attack, and the speculation Loeffner may have been fueled by partisan politics and rhetoric in the media?
He did not watch TV, he disliked the news, he didn't listen to political radio, he didn't take sides, he wasn't on the left, he wasn't on the right.
Instead, he points to this online documentary series called Zeitgeist as the gas on Loeffner's fire. It's a documentary movement that rails on currency-based economics.
What's this?
Well, from the looks of things, sir, I'd say they are here to audition for the remaining slot in the fabulous super race.
Is this some kind of a joke? A pussycat and a mouse? This show is about crazy stunts and people putting their lives at risk for a big fat prize. It's not a nature documentary. Irving, call security and have these two...
Sir, it's...
Where you will hold your entire future in the palm of your hand. When a tiny glowing crystal will guide you through an existence in which each day is more wonderful than the last. Where it will be possible for you to obtain the fulfillment of every fantasy, the satisfaction of every vanity, the absolute attainment of every wish.
This shit's got to go.
Ironically, however, the very innovations that are making possible dramatic improvements in human well-being are also creating new problems which raise the specter of an alarming and possibly catastrophic disaster to the biosphere we live in. And herein lies the dilemma that we all face.
Sustainable development has become the popularized expression for Agenda 21. Agenda 21 is the 1992 United Nations Rio Declaration on the Environment and Development.
It is the agenda for the 21st century you're living in today. For a brave new world where everything that you cherished and held true will no longer exist.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our...
Agenda 21 defines itself as the comprehensive plan of action to be taken globally, nationally, and locally by organizations of the United Nations systems.
It also elevates nature above man. And it contains something called the precautionary principle, where basically you're guilty until you're proven innocent.
Sustainable development is the philosophy designed to bring human beings across the globe under the full control of a narrow human elite.
It's a 40-chapter document to basically control the world. It's based entirely on socialist control mechanisms.
Sustainable developers have designed a global movement coordinated through a global to local action plan to create world government in accordance with certain objectives.
I'm going to get into Zeitgeist again. And why am I talking about this? Well, number one, when the film came out, it made fun of Christians and, you know, was just really savage towards Christians particularly, not just religion in general, but religion in general. And a lot of my film footage, a lot of clips from my films were used in it, and I decided not to weigh in on it. I decided to leave it alone and to not attack the maker of it. And then I got attacked for my footage being in it by Christians who were establishment types, you know, good at judging. Because my footage was in there when I had no control over that. And then the new Zeitgeist came out, and Jason Burnmas, who, you know, is not really a religious guy, called me up about 2 weeks ago, and he said, about 3 weeks ago, he said, have you seen this? He goes, oh my gosh, it's total New World Order. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, you got to see it. And because Jason really has studied the New World Order, he studied their theosophic Luciferian religion. And he said, man, this is everything we've heard before. This is like high-level UN religion stuff. This is what the big guys are into. These are Lucifer worshipers. I mean, this is incredible. Right in our face. So, and again, I hadn't really researched it. I just saw the new one and was like, man, this is some New World Order stuff. And then I was basically told, oh, you're not an intellectual. You can't even grasp it. So you're mindless if you believe in, quote, any religion, but the one true religion, which is what Albert Pike and Blavatsky and the rest of them put out. So let's go ahead and play this clip.
Reality, but the fact of the matter is, joy comes from that bliss of connectedness. That's our God spirit. That's that side of ourselves that really feels it. You can feel it deep inside. It's this amazing, wonderful feeling, and you know it when you get it. You don't get it from money. You get it from connection.
God spirit? So I knew that I watched the new one and went, woo, man, that stinks. But they mix in 9/11 truth, mix in the monetary fraud of the private Federal Reserve running its scam, and they blamed that on free market. I was like, woo, man, that stinks. Hey, did you know that, A, B, and C's really connected to what New World Order acolytes have always put out, and we've heard all this before, and withering away of the state and eradicating classes. And I said yesterday, what happens if somebody doesn't want to, be part of this brave new world? He said, well, they'll be reconditioned, re-educated. Yesterday, re-educated. Re-education, withering away of states, eradication of the class system. There's a comment about things that are bad and the family stuck in the middle of it. And then there's denials about all that. But listen, it's over. I demand the Zeitgeist worshipers tell me why the Blavatsky cult, Theosophic Society, Universal Christ, so I was too nice. I demand to know how I'm bad because I believe in Jesus Christ, and then but I've got to. No religion exists, nothing's real but your Christ. I mean, this is unbelievable. And I've got it all here in front of me. Alice Bailey, all of them. I mean, this is the official, the only religion the UN gave headquarters at the UN facilities worldwide. I mean, this is the Illuminati religion. And throughout it are religious comments, and they tell us none of your religions are real. You're all stupid fools, unintellectual for being into religion, and then it's dripping with religion.
Because of something major that took place, actually in 1922. In that year, an organization was founded in New York City called Lucifer Publishing Company. 2 years later, it changed its name to Lucis Trust. If that doesn't tell you where this is all coming from. Now, if this was just some small neighborhood group of utopian thinkers, you could say, well, they're a bunch of crazy people.
How do you know they're not?
But here's the thing. They had a significant influence on the founding of other organizations that are impacting this move toward global government today, including the United Nations itself. In fact, one of the organizations that is a spin-off of Lucifer Publishing Company, or Lucis Trust, is World Goodwill. World Goodwill has published a prayer called the Great Invocation. This is an occult prayer. They believe if they can get enough millions of people around the world meditating at the same moment in time, 4 times a year, always on the changes of the seasons, that they will achieve a critical mass, as they call it, and that this will open the gateway for the world teacher to come in and take his seat of power and help to solve the world's problems and bring us into the new age of enlightenment. A friend of mine who attended a UN meeting where Kofi Annan was there to actually open up this meeting a few years ago. I was astonished to learn this. They were passing out copies of the Great Invocation at this UN meeting with the full knowledge of the people who had organized the meeting. And Lucis Trust had a representation there at that meeting. So it does go all the way to the top. Now, how many of the people at that meeting realized that Lucis Trust was once called Lucifer Publishing Company, or if they realized what this prayer was all about, only God knows.
Hi, I'm Janet Napolitano, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Homeland Security begins with hometown security. That's why I'm pleased that Walmart is helping to make our communities more safe and secure. If you see something suspicious in the parking lot or in the store, say something immediately.
Report suspicious activity to your local police or sheriff.
If you need help, ask a Walmart manager for assistance. Thank you for doing your part to help keep our hometowns safe.
These objectives include an end to national sovereignty, the abolition of private property, the restructure of the family unit, and increasing limitations and restrictions on mobility and individual opportunity.
The green goal includes the listings of what's not sustainable. A couple of the examples include private property.
728 lists fossil fuels.
Golf courses and ski lodges are not.
Consumerism.
Irrigation is not sustainable.
Paved roads.
Commercial agriculture.
Herbicides, pesticides. Elsewhere, it lists farmlands, pastures, grazing of livestock.
And the family unit. The focus of sustainable development is the abolition of private property, societal undermining of the family, and abandonment of the constitutional protection of unalienable rights as described in the Declaration of Independence. You see, I sat on the Santa Cruz Agenda 21 committees. Now, this was a lot of crazy ideas. This was back in the mid-90s. Crazy ideas I heard. Mother Earth's surface wasn't to be scratched. Human beings were to be concentrated into human settlement zones. Educational systems were to focus on the environment as the central organizing principle. All aspects of life were covered. Well, I went to these committees at the request of some people who told me that I needed to understand what was going on, and I came back and I said, this is craziness. This is so silly. It has no chance of having any effect on our society. Well, I was wrong.
The United States government's support for Sustainable Development, Agenda 21, is very clear. In 1992, while the Rio Conference was going on, George Bush, then president, was there where he executed the Agenda 21 protocols on behalf of the United States and brought it back to Washington, D.C. Within a year, Bill Clinton, by executive order, no congressional review, established the President's Council for Sustainable Development. In Santa Cruz, we've got a 2-lane freeway system. We need 4, but what we're getting is hundreds of millions of dollars of federal money to take a dilapidated rail line that Southern Pacific wants to put in the hands of somebody else so that a commuter line can be built along the railroad track. That'll be followed by 14-story buildings where people will live and stack them and pack them units, where developers, or so-called sustainable developers, will build these high-rises with federal dollars. In fact, Santa Cruz has received a $300 million federal grant to build the first 3,000 of these stack them and pack them units. The County Board of Supervisors has said, if you are a sustainable developer, you're immune from any construction defect liability. It's a partnership between selected developers building this new world order and the government using the American taxpayer dollars in order to do it. This is a map of the Wildlands Project. To explain the map, the red are areas that are to be off limits to human beings. No resource development, no human activity. If you live there, you won't. The yellow areas are the areas for major control of all human activity. If you live there, You won't. The black areas, the black dots, are the smart growth zones. That's where human beings are to be stacked and packed in small living units along rail tracks. The smart growth program ultimately has jobs assigned and children cared for by the state.
The question has been asked many times how the people who are perpetrating these things expect to do this and make it last. And the answer to that is that you steal a generation of children and you indoctrinate them so that they accept these ideas and they become global citizens in the coming global village.
UNESCO came out and declared 2005 to 2015 the decade of education for sustainable development. But they go on to say that it will encompass the 40 chapters of Agenda 21. That is your federal national curriculum. The entire purpose of second grade social studies is to transfer loyalty from the family to the government and teach them about sustainable economic consumption. Students construct their own understandings of reality and realize that objective reality is not knowable. So why bother? The truth is, the truth, which keeps men free, is being suppressed in order to prop up the attitude training agenda. And it moves on. This is our new math called connected mathematics. Standard 3 tells us that students learn that mathematics is man-made, that it is arbitrary, and good solutions are arrived at by consensus. Most of us assume 2 plus 2 is always going to equal 4. You're wrong. We might reach a new consensus. How well does it work? Well, they tell you in the teacher's guide in the back, it tells us that because the curriculum doesn't emphasize arithmetic computations done by hand, some students may not do as well on tests assessing computational skills. We believe such a trade-off in the favor of CMP is very much to the student's advantage in the world of work. Our children are mathematically illiterate on purpose. How do I know on purpose? Why isn't this just a basic bad idea? Because the Sustainable Development Plan tells us so. Generally, more highly educated people who have higher incomes consume more resources than poorly educated people who tend to have lower incomes. In this case, more education increases the threat to sustainability. Charlotte Iserby, I owe you an apology. I did not believe for the longest time it was a deliberate dumbing down. I thought the dumbing down was a natural consequence of a bad idea. Folks, it's deliberate.
You might want to ask yourself why the entire culture is utterly saturated with mass media entertainment from all sides, while the educational system in America continues its stupefying downward slide since the U.S. government decided to take over and subsidize the public school system.
What your government pays for, it gets. When we understand that, then we look at government-financed institutions of education and see the kind of students and the kind of education that's being turned out by these government-financed schools. Logic will tell you that if what is being turned out in those schools was not in accord with what the state and the federal government wanted, then it would change it. The bottom line is that the government is getting what they have ordered. They do not want your children to be educated. They do not want you to think too much. That is why our country and our world has become so proliferated with entertainments, mass media, television shows, amusement parks, drugs, alcohol, and every kind of entertainment to keep the human mind entertained so that you don't get in the way of important people by doing too much thinking. You had better wake up and understand that there are people who are guiding your life and you don't even know it.
We're in a lot of trouble because you people and 62 million other Americans are listening to me right now because less than 3% of you people read books. Because less than 15% of you read newspapers. Because the only truth you know is what you get over this tube. Right now, there is an entire generation that never knew anything that didn't come out of this tube. This tube is the gospel, the ultimate revelation. This tube can make or break presidents, popes, prime ministers. This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it all falls into the hands of the wrong people. And when the largest company in the world controls the most awesome goddamn propaganda force in the whole godless world, who knows what shit will be peddled for truth on this network. So you listen to me. Listen to me. Television is not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. But you people sit there day after day, night after night, all ages, colors, creeds. We're all you know. You're beginning to believe the illusions we're spinning here. You're beginning to think that the tube is reality and that your own lives are unreal. You do whatever the tube tells you. You dress like the tube. You eat like the tube. You raise your children like the tube. You even think like the tube. This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion.
It's the orchestration of a planned fall of American principles, values, and lifestyles. The effect on the average American will be devastating. With modernizing technology, the ordinary person will live without independence, privacy, or substantive rights.
Another press conference that I attended was the ICLE group, the International Committee for Local Environmental Initiatives, that helps in the implementation of Agenda 21 in all of our local communities. And one of the speakers was a Harvey Reuven, who happens to be the vice chair of ICLE. And I asked him about the correlative rights that Americans derive from the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And that, of course, is your individual liberties, your private property, your freedom of speech. I asked about it clashing with Agenda 21. And you know what his response was? Individual rights must take a back seat to the collective.
Culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
Sisters and brothers all over the world, it's time to come together and bid farewell to the age of Pisces as we enter into the age of Aquarius, a new galactic alignment, a higher state of consciousness. This is the dawn of the age of Aquarius, where knowledge and truth will take care of us. This world state we're living in is serious, prostituted and polluted till it's cancerous. Resources in the world disappear, rapid rates, crime rates escalate, and money dictates the life source of planet Earth. Dies in spades as the global economy strives for more pace. This disease sports hate till the populace suffocate, and the system starts to crumble under the weight. It's what we all want. And enter the depths, so take a breath. This revolution is here to refresh. The new age dawns, and the Aquarians born. Vehicles of light that grow, know to transform. We bring you together to generate the warmth in this order of the ages where the pages are torn. Caught up in my Aquarian zone, this age of Aquarius. Aquarius know we are the new age travelers, bring us alive with third eye insights. We bring it to life. Caught up in my Aquarian zone, this age of Aquarius. Aquarians know we are the new age travelers, bring us alive with third eye insights. We bring it to life. From the project of Venus to the Aquarian age, we bring a brand new dawn in the simplest way, breaking down the old order, no more trading of slaves. These are the new days, the new times for minds to engage. When we abolish every penny and we live through trust, and sharing with one another is a spiritual rush. The technology is waiting and it's calling to us, but the minds aren't ready for receiving the love. The changes from within, like the turning of the wheel, reaching the highest state of consciousness and keeping it real. The truth they're keeping it still, but roots growing seeds, yields a field, blossom with the truth that you can finally feel. So much to intake, with 2012 on the horizon, it prophesizing changes, inducing the mass effect. UFOs in the sky still quiet as kept, like helicopters overhead as the whole world slept. Caught up in my Aquarian zone, this age of Aquarius. Aquarians know we are the new age travelers, bring us alive with third eye insights. We bring it to life. Caught up in my Aquarian zone. This age of Aquarius, Aquarians know we are the new age travelers. Bring us alive with third eye insights. We bring it to life. It's the procession of the equinox arching its soul. The alignment of the planets are starting to mold. When transformation occurs through liberating the light, we reach a spiral destination, revolution in sight. Growth on a massive scale, developing minds, telepath, vision read, the vision sublime, the utopia of God in love's living design, forever flowing off the universe, feeding the vibes. The new age is moving steadily, gaining pace until the movement elevates and takes hold of your fate. The stage is set for drama, the world anticipates, waiting for the finale to blow us all away. The greed dissipates, leaving humanity raised. The evil disappears and leaves death in its grave. We evolve to higher beings for love to generate. It's the new way of living in the Aquarian age. Caught up in my Aquarian zone. This age of Aquarius, Aquarians know we are the new age travelers. Bring us alive with third eye insights. We bring it to life. Caught up in my Aquarian zone. This age of Aquarius, Aquarians know we are the new age travelers. Bring us alive with third eye insights. We bring it to life.